Welcome to the ZenRUN Podcast, the new name for the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast. Same host, same heart, just with a new, fresh look and feel. Each week, we dive into the real, raw, and often unexpected journeys of everyday runners. Because every runner has a story, and every story has the power to inspire. If you've got a running story of your own, whether you're just lacing up for the first time or you're deep into your ultra journey, I'd love to hear it. Sharing your experience might be just the thing that someone else needs to get out the door. And hey, if you're looking for a bit of motivation or just want to keep your running fun and stress-free, check out ZenRUN. It's a relaxed space with guided runs, simple training plans and monthly challenges to help you stay consistent without the pressure. All right, let's jump into this week's story. It's a good one. You've heard from her daughter. You've heard from her granddaughter. Now it's Sally Bauer's turn, and trust me, you're going to love her. In this episode of the ZenRUN podcast, Sally shares how she started running in her 50s, the surprising fun run that got her hooked, and what it's like being the running matriarch of a 3-generation family of runners. Her joy is infectious, and her story might just be the push you need to lace up and head out the door. Let's get into it. Today on the new ZenRUN podcast, because we've moved from Fit Mind, Fit Body and we're moving over to ZenRUN, I am really excited to introduce you to Sally Bauer, who you will find out very soon is connected to a couple of my recent guests as well. So it's very exciting. Sally, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Maybe I should say right now. Sally is Harmony's mum and Juliet's grandmum. And if you look back only a few weeks before this podcast, you'll see that they are also on the podcast.
Yes.
It's exciting. It's
exceptional offspring.
I know. It's amazing. I don't think I've had 3 generations. I've definitely had 2, but I haven't had 3 generations. So this is a first. It's very exciting. Thank
you for inviting me.
Thank you for saying yes. It's not always an easy thing to do. Let's start with a little bit about your background, Sally. Where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
Mixed. I was born in the UK. I was born in Woking in Surrey. And so
that's where my
first 5 years.
From Surrey. We're from Camberley.
Don't know Camberley.
Near Aldershot.
I do know Aldershot. Mm-hmm. So Woking is not far from Guildford. Mm-hmm. So the first 5 years was in the same little bungalow. And then my mother had always wanted to live in Devon, mm-hmm. and my father agreed to it, which meant other moves to London, to Reading, or at least to London, and then to Devon. And the problem with Devon, we lived in a beautiful little village called Totnes, which is about the first bridge crossing on the River Dart. Up from Dartmouth where the Naval College is. So it's right on the edge of Dartmoor. Beautiful place, little Norman town, mm-hmm. guild halls and things. But Devon was very I think it still is seasonal work unless you're depending on what industry or whatever you're in. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, my father couldn't really get work except in the summer months. And I think we struggled there, or they struggled there for 2 years. And his dream had been to migrate to Australia, which my mother didn't want to do, and we certainly didn't want to do. But that's what we did at the end of, would have been, I think, 1963 was our last Christmas, and between Christmas and New Year, I'm pretty sure it must have been, my parents were assisted passage migrants. So Australia got me and my sibling.
£10 poms, is that what we used to say?
£10 poms, that's the one, yeah. So by boat, terribly seasick through the Bay of Biscay, and then via the Suez Canal to Perth, where we disembarked. And back then it was pre-America's Cup, so Fremantle was pretty much just a wool stores and harbour town, very I remember my mother saying, "Leslie, what have you brought us to?" Because it's just nowhere. And then we were living in quite a remote country town. We went down to the south of Perth, about an hour and a bit drive south of Perth, because a distant cousin who had sponsored my parents lived there. And so we resided down there.
How old were you
initially?
Then, Sally?
It was the year I would have turned 9, 1960. We arrived on Australia Day, 1964. So I would have been about 8 going on 9, yeah.
And you've got vivid memories of this?
My father loved Australia. And I think back in the 60s, it was a very different, especially in rural Australia. It's pretty much a man's world, I think, back then. I mean, they still had women's only. It was a men's only bar, and the women went to the ladies' lounge.
Yes.
Or the beer garden.
Sounds very civilized.
And, my mother, my brother and I were terribly homesick, so homesick. Hated it. Yeah. It was not pleasant memories.
But you stayed. Obviously. Well, obviously didn't have a choice when you were a child.
I don't know. I think my brother ran away from this little country town. I think he got he got nearer the coast, got down to the railway line before he was brought home, but he left me.
Wow.
He was only gone a few hours, but it didn't sort of get better until my father finally got work on the coast, another country town that's south of Perth, but bigger. And we were actually in a new housing estate that they used to call state housing. Oh, there you go. Knew that would happen. State housing, where it was really just a migrant slum. Lots of sand, asbestos housing, but lots of migrants.
Lots of kids.
Migrant people and migrant children. So it was better then. At least, you felt some commonality with, the kids. And it really, we were there, I don't know, maybe a year or two. My mother had a complete nervous breakdown, which was not good, that sort of insidious depression brought about by this homesickness. And that was her first bout, actually, with depression. And so it wasn't until, I think, Dad used to go up to Perth and pick her up for weekends when she could come home for weekends. And one of the weekends, he'd let her drive, and they had a major accident about, I don't know, only a couple of miles from home. So Dad ended up in hospital, but it was just that catalyst that kind of snapped her out of the depression. So we then relocated to Perth. And then I think for them, and I guess for us, there was a bit more stability. I mean, I must have had about 8 or 10 moves from birth up until then. And we just moved into a rental place in Perth. And my father got work up in Whitnoom at one stage, the asbestos mine up north, and we had a rental in Perth. And they gradually, bit by bit, worked and I guess saved and bought a block in the hills, built on that block, and not far from actually where John Hersfeld mentioned Darlington. We're not that far from Darlington. We're a couple of K from there in Helena Valley. So basically, even though obviously I'm not in my family's home, but we are in Helena Valley. We bought here in 1985. So yes, that was really, I think by the time I was 12, we were in Helena Valley. The parents' home. And that was where then I've never moved.
So then you became quite then it wasn't all that kind of tumultuous kind of moving around all the time.
So no, I don't cope with change 101. I'm not yet competent. Now that I'm here, I like to put down my roots. I think when you move and move and move, I haven't got any of my early childhood friends. I mean, obviously I made friends along the way, but really it's only since I would have got to high school when we were in, just before we relocated from North Perth to Helena Valley, I started high school. I'd got into a special art course. So I ended up going to a high school that was a long way away, Applecross High School. Quite a few a bus, a train, and a long walk up a big hill. Bus, a train, and a bus, and then the long walk. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But then I have maintained a friend from that time. But before that, there was friends and, other kids that I played with and did things with. But yeah, long gone.
Yeah, quite different, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Because, I grew up on King Island, which is, they've got the remoteness, and 1,000 people right up until I was about 15. So, I could see people for a long time. But my dad came all the way from Surrey in order.
Okay, yeah.
So
I mean, I never felt like once I was old enough and I could make those decisions, and of course, in the mid to late teens, I wanted to travel. First thing I wanted to do was return to the UK.
Yeah.
And I did, but I realised where my bread was buttered after a couple of years.
Didn't have the allure to necessarily return.
I think if I'd had, I obviously, as like what they call backpacking now was when I travelled, and we, were in bed sits and camper vans and things like that. And it's a hard life if you don't have a lot of money to be the lower class or poorer economically. It's hard to make ends meet. Yeah. So no, I thought in Australia you can work hard in unskilled jobs, and the mining industry is a perfect example, and you can you can have a good life, you can have a comfortable life.
Yeah.
It can be a bit of a struggle in the UK, I think.
Yeah. We saw that
what it's
ourselves.
like now.
Yeah,
okay.
We went back with 3 of our children about 11 years ago, and we house sat through.
Okay.
But because of both my husband and I have a British heritage as well, we could stay there as long as we liked. So we stayed there about 8 months or so, but we house sat all the way. And we had we had kids. It was all in the country, but you could see how. It's not an easy life in England, I don't think, unless you have lots of means. There's even just moving around isn't easy.
Yeah.
It's kind of
and if I guess ideally have abode both places. But winters can be cruel. And living can be hard if you haven't got those economic circumstances. So. So I had 2 years there, but because of various things that had happened, Australia was always going to be home. Yeah.
Oh, well, now tell me about, can you remember, it's a bit hard to ask this question thinking about, the amount of travel, moving that you did as a child, but in primary school, can you remember what you thought about sport? Was it even a thing for you? It's hard when you can't establish yourself. I'm very, very exceedingly long-sighted. And so I wore National Health glasses from about age 5. I think I was even before I went to school. I could never understand. I must have been very slow and very very thick. I could never understand why kids called me Four Eyes. Oh. But of course, it's the glasses are 2 of the eyes, and then you have your own eyes. But I wore and of course they would get thicker and thicker and stronger every year. I was a clumsy child. Yeah.
So sport wasn't my favourite thing. We used to do PE in our navy blue knickers and our plimsolls. Games. That's all I remember from England. But then, of course, in Australia, they've got this stock standard. You're a gal, you're a Sheila, you're going to play netball. And if you're a boy, you're going to do the footy. And so, of course, the eye-hand coordination was never going to get me on a netball team. In fact, I think from primary school, the 2 years of primary I did in North Perth, and then PE at high school at Applecross, it was, do we have to have Sally on our team? Oh. I think I was always picked last. I would love to have been the team, and I do. I enjoy being on a team now. I've been a team, part of Harmony's team when we've done some relay things, and it's great. And I understand now why kids loved it so much. It's good to feel part of a team. But as a child, it was, oh, do we have to have her again? We had her last time. And I mean, the less you play or the less you do something, the worse you get at it.
Like
and then the worse you are. It's a catch-22, exactly. The less people want to have you, playing on the team. So I don't think the word inclusivity or being inclusive was around when I was a child. You maybe brought out the orange quarters at half time.
I guess that's helping.
That made me feel useful. But, yeah, you're not actually – I wasn't particularly good. I can remember at high school there was one cross-country at Applecross, and I liked that. You were just out in the bit of bush that there was around the high school, and you could just keep going. It was only it must have been about a mile or something like that. Yeah. It wasn't that far, but it wasn't like a sprint running race or what's the other thing they used to do? Oh, leaderball. A leaderball with a hard ball. You sit in a row and one person throws to the first one and they have to run around. I don't know if you ever played that.
Yeah, it sounds familiar as you describe it, but I'm not sure we called it that. But I don't know.
I couldn't catch the ball, or I didn't throw the ball, and so. And at high school, I certainly didn't want to be seen wearing glasses, so I didn't see an awful lot. Especially if you sit in the back of the classroom and you don't wear your glasses, you don't pick up a lot. So it wasn't the best experience. School was not a good experience. And the sporting things, apart from that one, I have quite a good memory of that one. It was only one though. And speaking to my granddaughter Juliet, they do change through the sports every term or semester. So I guess that's what happened back then.
Yeah,
I couldn't really settle on anything I liked.
I think, we had cross country was every year and carnivals every year, and my kids had that too. So anyway, but it's all different wherever you go. Yeah.
I was more interested in horses. That's why we were in Helena Valley. I had always loved horses. It's a very girl thing. I don't know what the psychology is behind that.
Quite girly, isn't it?
My parents took us we had a Christmas holiday when I was about 5 or 6. This is back in England, to Selseybill, a place called Selseybill on the south coast. And I had my first pony ride and just fell in love with these creatures and always wanted my own horse. My parents had let me have riding lessons. Yeah. But then when I had some in Bunbury. I don't know how they afforded it. I really do not know. And then in Perth. And I was very, very lucky when we knew we were going to be moving to Helena Valley and a very large block, that my parents bought me my only horse, but my own horse. And so it was more pony club and, eventing, show jumping, cross country, but on horseback. Yeah. That was more my interest. So again, there wasn't that much of a team thing. It was more me doing my thing with my pony. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm, so we had horses.
Okay.
Yeah, horses are a big thing.
Yeah.
A big thing.
Big hole in the paddock that you pour money into.
Yeah, that's what my grandfather said. Luckily, it was his farm, so he said they just eat the grass. I don't know what it's
Yeah. So
he said it was quite funny. Now, you mentioned you went to the school for high school because of an art.
It was around back in the 60s, education was looking at specialist schools. And I know in Perth there's quite a lot. There's like academic specialist schools. There was a music, Perth Modern was one of the for encouraging talent. So Perth Modern, for example, was for music. Applecross started an art course. So that year would have been, 60-something. They took a first year and a fourth year, because that was when there was 5 years at high school. Yeah. You went third year, you could leave with a junior certificate, or if you went all the 5 years to fifth year, you could come out with a leaving certificate. That was the way the education system worked back then. So I was accepted into this art course. You submitted a portfolio. But it was, I think I was kind of pushed by my parents in a way. And it's not until much, much later that I realised that I'm more of a science person.
Oh,
I still do artistic things. Did lots and lots of cake decorating for the grandchildren.
Yeah.
Nana, I want a Lightning McQueen, or I want something from Star Wars or whatever. So the artistic side there, and I do quite a bit of mosaicing now when I feel the need to be artistic. But so I was at Applecross, but not a good student. And we had some of the most wonderful teachers to take us for extracurricular art activities. Artists like Bob Juniper and I can't remember them all, but sculptors and real artists in real time. And we would do extra art studies on a Saturday morning going to the school. And so we got the opportunity to do lots of things: jewellery, pottery, ceramics, oil painting, that you wouldn't normally have that sort of
in your normal
they
schooling.
do now. In normal artwork. But I think I was probably the bottom of the class, even in art.
Surely not.
Surely, yes. I was not a good student. I was not, school was not a happy place for me. No. I suppose not bullied. I had friends. So, but the fact that I wore glasses, clumsy kid, gangly, tall, flat-chested, gangly kid, wasn't my happy place, school, really. No.
It makes me want to
honestly say that.
What is your happy place?
Oh, now I love my garden and I love running.
Right answer. No, there's no wrong answer.
I'm a bit of a homebody. I do enjoy being around my home. And, running now is being part of a running community.
That's really that's interesting. Well, we're going to move into that in a bit in a minute.
Took a while,
because I'm quite a chronological person.
Yes. I realise this from your interviews.
I know. I'm very
your chats that you've done.
We can bounce around a bit, but I always bring you back. Okay.
Yes,
What did you do when you left school? Like, that's the next step.
Well, it was clear by my third year of high school that I wasn't going to go on. My older brother, I think, definitely got the maths brain, and he did go on, but I left school at 15 because there was lots of jobs that you could do when you were 15. And I'd actually met and was going out with Harmy's father, the person that I married, and I had just a variety of jobs, but I think the one bounced around, I don't know, at least a year, and then finally settled into a job with WA newspapers as a copy runner in the telex room. You had to do that for a year, and then they found a place
that exist
for you.
anymore?
No, definitely not. Not with the technologies of today. I copy running. So back then, Perth had two newspapers. This was in the, when would it have been? Early 70s. I think when I started there, 1970 maybe, 71, 70 to 71. And I had to do a year in the telex room, and you got to know the editorials and where things were. So they had a daily newspaper that had 4 editions, and they had a morning one that had a country and a metro, the West Australian, still going. The Daily News is gone. And so the telex room, which was lined with high-tech sound absorption, egg cartons.
Okay.
Egg cartons on the wall. And there was 3 of us in there, 2 ladies who would do the punching for the tape. So you didn't actually do typing like you would on a computer screen now. It was typed onto a tape, and then you thread the tape, like ticker tape. You thread the tape through the machine, and the little dots then print out. And that gets sent, I don't know how, all over the world, AAP, Reuters. And they would send news to us. So there was about 25 machines going, very noisy. No hearing protection back then. And you would tear off, and there was, my hands would be black because there was always 3 copies. You put these big rolls that were 3 copies, and one went in a little conveyor belt. I folded it in half and put it in a little conveyor belt that went down to the Daily News. One copy went on our spike and one copy went on the West Australian editorial. And then when the spike got a little bit fat, I'd pick it up and I'd run down the corridor to the West Australian editorial and hand it over there. So all these little news items.
Because they didn't have their own conveyor belt like the other.
No, because there was a big corridor down there. The building's now gone because, of course, Perth has gone very high-rise. Yeah. But it was a beautiful old sandstone building and, marble floors and mahogany, mezzanine with these mahogany, I guess they might have been Jarrah, not mahogany, but probably Jarrah. Beautiful building inside. But they had the Daily News editorial one side, open plan offices with this conveyor belt that went down to where the editor was. And then on the other side of the corridor was the West Australian editorial. So you'd also get telegrams. We had an air... There's tubing that went from the GPO. It would be over a kilometre because the GPO was in Forest Place and we were down on the terrace. So over a kilometre, but there was this tubing with high-pressure air and there was a little box in the middle of the room, and every now and again you'd hear this ka-punk, and it would be a little tube and you'd reach in, you'd take it out, and there'd be a telegram inside.
Wow.
And
I've seen it in the
telegrams
movies.
back.
I've seen it in the movies. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, so really quite old school, but so a year of copy running, and then I went into the library where we would cut and paste every article and cross-reference and index everything that appeared in the newspaper, and it would be filed. So there was about, 14 or 15 of us that would do that every edition of the paper. Someone would decide, that article's about this and about this and this, so it might need 3 cuttings of that article for 3 different files.
Yeah.
And, of course, as I explained to students later on when we were looking at the obesity crisis and the health crisis in our society, cut and paste back then literally meant cutting with a pair of scissors, walking in your little platform shoes and your mini skirt to where the cabinet with that particular file, squatting down, pulling out the file, going back, flag glue, gluing it in, walking back, bending, opening the filing cabinet, putting that file back. It literally was a cut and paste. But now, of course, you get the mighty index finger and cut, paste, paste. But back then it was all done. And then after 2 years, they'd relocate them to the dungeon, the files. They'd be there for another 5 years and they'd all go into microfilm so that when people wanted to research articles, they could just come in and they'd be taken down to either the what was stored in the dungeon or to the microfilm to research, old articles and things like that. Oh, wow. And I loved the job. It was I really enjoyed my time there. It, just was a fascinating place to work. Yeah.
Really interesting. How long did you stay there for?
Until I wanted to travel.
I just see you went to.
I had married at. It was kind of out of the frying pan into the fire. But I married when I was 16, and so I always wanted to get back to England. I did mention that wanted to get back. I don't know where I can't even relate to my mindset back then, but I wanted to travel and to go back to the UK. Yeah. And so in 1974, I resigned and I actually started off on my own because I wanted to go to South Africa, but Christopher, my husband, didn't want to go there. He was going to come later, a couple of months later, in time for Christmas when I got to the UK. So I set off in about September and went to South Africa first, travelled on my own, and then
that's pretty brave,
UK.
Isn't it? I would have thought that would have been pretty brave at that time.
This is the thing, you have a different mindset. I actually ended up going all the way up to, it was during UDI when Ian Smith was still had come come out of the Commonwealth and the unilateral declaration of independence for Rhodesia. So I'd met some other girls I'd done a mailboat from Durban down to Cape Town and met some other girls who were from Rhodesia. Yeah. And they said, oh, you must come up. And I said, well, I would like to see Victoria Falls. They said, oh, yes, you've got to come up. I said, it's not very safe where you are. Isn't there a guerrilla war? Oh, no, it's safe. So I travelled up through Botswana by train and then into Rhodesia. You couldn't go directly from South Africa into Rhodesia then. You had to go via Botswana. So you sort of get on the train, or back then you got on the train in Johannesburg, and it was non-white and white. And that Mafeking, at about 9 o'clock at night, there's all this shunting and you're sort of in your little bed thing, your bedroll, and thinking, what's going on? And in the morning you get up to a multiracial breakfast. It was rather lovely. Wow. So then through Botswana, and then they enter Rhodesia that way. And I stopped in Bulawayo. So I think one of my most memorable rail trips ever was a steam train, an overnight steam train from Bulawayo to Victoria Falls. And just, I had the window open. There was one of those big, full African moons and clear sky in the jungle, and this how romantic a steam train. Until I think I woke about an hour later and my bedroll was full of soot. Steam trains aren't that romantic. No. But yeah, up to Victoria Falls, which was quite amazing. Then stopped at the Falls Hotel, and people say, oh, how could you have gone there when there was apartheid? But I did want to see for myself, and I have returned to South. I went with Harmony when she did her first Comrades. Yes. Back to South Africa and to Durban, and I'm really happy that it did end. It had to end. Yeah, and of course, what happened in Rhodesia is very sad. I think Zimbabwe is still recovering now, but maybe one day I go back. I don't know.
Yeah, oh, that's so. You went there on the way to England.
Yeah,
and then you stayed in England for a couple of years. Your husband met you there, I'm assuming.
He came over in the Christmas, but we actually went down to Devon because that was where my happiest times had been. I remembered, this lovely place in Totnes, and we actually lived in Torquay, the English Riviera. We had a little bed sit there, a little one-room bed sit, and had different work. I worked as a chambermaid. I worked as a usherette. I had a cleaning job, and really enjoyed our time there. And we had a little combi van. We were very much the hippies of the 70s. Pop top combi van. Everyone has one of those.
Oh, beautiful.
And we had a lot of friends. We had some Australian friends, but we had lots of people that we met there as well. But I did get very sick and actually had ovarian cancer. Oh. So ended up having ovary and tube and bits and pieces removed. Good old National Health. You would have
still been quite young then, though.
Yeah, I was 19. I think I turned 19, 20, 19 or 20. So that was a bit of a shock to the system, especially on National Health. Although I blessed them later. So I think it was about 3. I was in hospital when they sacked the Prime Minister.
Oh.
The double dissolution. Because they were all saying, oh, yes, the Queen's still the boss of Australia. This is what they were saying in the hospital.
So here at Whitlam in Australia.
Yeah. That was about October. It was definitely October because I was in the hospital in October. So remember that quite clearly. That's amazing. I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks. It was quite a big operation back then.
Yeah.
And got all sorts of infections afterwards. What could go wrong? Let's get people to have a salt bath to help with wound healing. Oh. But you've only got 2 baths and a whole ward of wounds. So infection was rife on the ward and things like that. So,
oh gosh.
Yeah, I had fertility treatment. I was very early in the ways of fertility treatment back then, but I was about a year having fertility treatment, which I didn't ask any questions. I was very naive, but it was basically to try and stimulate the other ovary to work.
That's amazing.
So no pregnancies or anything ensued. So we just assumed that wasn't going to have children, that that was it. But no.
Something else happened.
Got back to Australia, and I think it must be the water or something like that. But anyway, we came back to Australia at the end of 1976. So we were actually back in Australia for Christmas 1976. And in the January or the February, I felt dreadful again. I thought, oh, this is it again. I'm going to be sick again. But it wasn't. It was a pregnancy. Oh. It was Harmony.
That's so lovely.
So we were very lucky to I always felt very lucky anyway that like I say, whether it was just Australia or whatever, but anyway.
And did you only have one child? Have you only got one?
Only the one, yeah.
She's larger than life. Yeah.
My mother, you asked about travelling alone as a teenager, and my mum said, I could never have done that. But the travelling that Harmony did, I mean, she was in the Middle East when 9/11 happened. And we were seeing news shots of them dancing in the streets in Cairo and places like that. I think she'd gone to go diving in the Red Sea. I think that's why she'd flown into the Middle East. And I spoke to her on the phone, and I was so worried. Yes. I thought, this is how my mother must have felt when I went off to Rhodesia.
Yeah, exactly.
Places like that. But I think each generation seems to be bigger, better, braver. I don't know. The 3 Bs, bigger, better, braver?
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's also more now. I think the world is more, there is an element of what you were saying as well, but the world is smaller. I don't know if it's because of the technology or whatever. It just feels smaller as long as you can financially get yourself to different places. You can go lots.
We used to still do post-restant. Do you remember post-restant? I'd say to my parents, look, we're going to be, we'll be in Italy, and you could send things post-restant, and then you'd go and queue up in the post office and ask if there was any mail, things like that. My father worked as a night telephonist, and so if we had access to a phone, they could arrange calls. So I remember at one of the bedsits in Torquay, our landlady coming in, Fullwood Manor, I think it was called, our landlady coming and saying, Australia's on the phone. People from Australia are on the phone for you, and having to run through their house to a kitchen where the phone was and being able to speak with my parents. But otherwise, you wrote letters and postcards.
Yeah.
And so after about 2 years away, there was also that disconnect with people who'd been close friends before you went, because it's hard to maintain. Whereas I think these days that's maybe the advantage of the technologies.
That's Facebook. Social media.
And I do like it because I find out what people that I don't see every week or every month or every year are up to and what they're doing.
Still feel a bit connected.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So we're back then, and so I was a mum at home with a little one, which was great.
You didn't work at all when you came back straight away? You just...
I did. I had a job with an engineering firm, and sort of doing invoicing and typing, a PA type of thing. And but they didn't like having pregnant people around. So I know it was that was still the 70s. Again, that lack of inclusivity and, the sexism, I guess. So they got a nice little blonde in to take my place before I wanted to work as long as I possibly could, because really the money, we were in a rental, and it would have been good to have gone on work, to have the 2 incomes, but ended up being at home, and she was a home birth too, so I had a Scottish doctor who was quite happy to deliver at home, and wasn't I got an education later that I thought, what was I thinking? But anyway, she was a healthy, wonderful baby, very easy. I don't think she cried until she was about 3 weeks old, and then I
Wow.
freaked out. I go, why is she crying? And then I was crying. And very happy little baby. She was an easy baby. Yeah.
Oh. So then you stayed home for a while with her? How long did you?
Till then, there wasn't daycares that would take babies. And so we were not getting anywhere financially. And I did have to go back to work when she was 2, and we could find a daycare place for her. And I actually had a Australia Post parcel contract, and was successful in a tender for that. Yeah. So Harmony went to daycare, and I was really quite devastated about that because I liked being a mum with her, and I thought she'll never want to. It's a bit like breastfeeding. I wanted to breastfeed until she was at least 12 months, but I can remember saying to we used to go to the district sister, you know, they'd weigh them and write in a pink book, of course, because she was a girl, you know, what their weight was and that they'd reached milestones, you know, turns and found her feet and things like that. And I said, you know, she's fighting it. She doesn't seem to want to. She's worrying at the breast. She doesn't seem to want to. The first morning feed is good, but then she said, try her on a bottle. I said, she won't have a bottle if she could have me. Why? That child latched onto that bottle like I never existed.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, the more they have babies, I think it's easier for them to suck on her. I had a Nook teat on the bottle, but she loved her bottle. So gradually the feeds faded, and so it was only the morning feed. And then I'd top that up, and of course she got to 5 or 6 months, and then we're adding, you know, brekkie things then. So, and I felt it was the same. I thought she won't want to go to daycare. How will she cope without me? She loved daycare. All those other kids and toys and adventures and making things. And I don't know whether I just didn't stimulate her enough that she then found the daycare so much more exciting. I don't know. But yeah, so that was really the downfall of our relationship, really, because you're working, and then I was coming home and doing you got to do as the mother and the wife, and it was just draining. And so we separated when she was about 2.5. Yeah. And I said, no, I can be better on my own.
I can do this.
I might as well be on my own. You're no help. Yeah. And bought my own house about 2 years later.
Oh wow.
When Harley was 6 months old, I started going to yoga with a friend. She said, oh, come along. And I'd always been quite flexible, just, you know, the tall gangly.
Yeah.
No good at sports, but quite hyper flexible in some ways. And I found I really enjoyed that, and I'd kept going with that. And I was doing yoga. My mum was good. She would babysit, and I'd go in the evenings. So I kept going with that. And at Christmas, you get lots and lots of parcels. Guess now you get lots of parcels all the time because of Amazon and things like that.
So online shopping.
But back then, Christmas was the boom time because everyone sent Christmas presents. And so your Christmas check, your November, December checks were huge. And I said to my parents, I'm going to get more than a couple of $1,000. What do you think about me going to Pune and to BKS Iyengar, the yoga ashram? And my mother said, really? You want to do that? Why don't you buy a house? And so I couldn't afford a house. But we actually looked, found a little iron and weatherboard cottage in Bellevue, which is not far from here. It's about 2K from here. And my granny said she'd lend me $1,000. And my parents lent me a couple of $1,000. And I had this big Christmas check, a couple of $1,000, enough for a deposit. And so bought this little house for Harmony and I, and worked my butt off to pay my granny back and paid my parents back. And it was just at the time, because, you know, Whitlam had gone, obviously we'd had the Liberal government, and it was when Mr. Fraser came in and said life wasn't meant to be easy.
Oh,
do you remember that? Quote, unquote.
born in 1969. So we're probably still talking about the 70s. I probably didn't care much about what they were saying.
God, this was about 82.
Oh, yeah.
And before I'd even moved into the house, there'd been another interest rate rise. So I think it was about 17.5%, 18% interest.
Oh.
They just kept every month.
Harder.
Yeah, up in the interest rate. And I mean, it wasn't a huge loan. It was, I think, about $20,000 or something like that. But the one income, and
you were feeling it.
I felt it. Yeah, that worked. I was happy that I had done it in the end. And about 83, I think I met my current partner.
Yeah,
and things were sort of progressing, and maybe we could move in and make a go of this. And I remember having the conversation with Harmony and saying, what would you think about a man, a guy moving in with us to be a family? Would it be Dad? Bless. No. But we had never, her father and I had always never made it about her. So she, always had alternate weekends with Dad and the holidays. And you would have heard that. I think it was really the making of his relationship as a parent with her, because they would do lots of things. He would, eventually they would do weekends away and do stuff together. So, it was never I can use the child to get at him, or he could get at me, or whatever. We tried to normalise things as much as possible, that we just were not together. But I remember her saying, "Oh, will it be Dad?" And I said, "No."
The way kids look at stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. She was 5. I can't think how old she would be. She must have been about. I know she'd started school, so she was in about the second year of primary school, which was just up the road. It was about that age. Yeah.
So your partner moved into
we
the
got
little house
together.
That you bought?
Yeah. And he was a very fit and active person. And I must say, I had started the aerobics craze had just begun then. And so yoga sort of started to take a bit of a back burner.
You put leg warmers on instead.
Jane Fonda. We did wear shoes. But she wanted to go roller skating. So I bought a pair of old roller skates, and I thought, to be able to take her, I need to be able to roller skate. So I remember going up to her school, had a bitumen playground at the back, and in the dead of night, wobbling my way around until something's funny. Your balance you just find it, and it's like, why was I struggling to stay on my feet? And we would go roller skating. You do get quite a bit fitter with roller skating. Wow. And then I say exercise to music or aerobics. I would go to one or two of those. And then Ted liked to run. He liked to do jiu-jitsu. He liked to do very into doing all sorts of things. And I remember we went for a run together, and basically I got around the block, and that was it. He said, "Oh, what? That's it? I'm going to go for another half an hour." So I wasn't really a runner then at all. But I did. I think as you get, I have aerobics or the fitness industry, I guess, to thank for getting fitter, and also it got me interested in something. Someone said, "Oh, you could be an instructor, but you have to do this, this, and this. You have to have a first aid, and you have to do a course, and you have to do theory." And I remember doing a first aid course and being amazed that I could pass a test.
Because school had been such a negative
School
experience.
had been a nightmare.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But when you're interested and motivated, studying and learning and encoding information is much easier. And so that was a small achievement. I know it sounds pathetic, doesn't it?
No, not at all.
Achievement.
No, not at all.
And I thought, maybe I could. So I did a course and then did more study, and, I can't remember how many months or what it took. It must have taken more than a year. Passed the theory exam and then did a practical exam to be a registered instructor. And the fitness industry was very small in WA then. It was mostly instructors, and they'd got together to form an institute so that you could get information, education, you could register, and it was, things like that.
Yeah.
But very instructor driven. So I was involved in that. And as I got fitter and smarter, I don't know that I got smarter, but just discovered I did have a brain.
Yeah.
I just wanted a bit more than what I was doing, with the post office. And so thought about then returning to study and, maybe do something with my brain.
And what did you do, Sally?
Well, of course, to get into university, you have to have this, what was then the leaving, but they then, back in the early 80s, called the TEE, Tertiary Entrance Exam. So I went back to senior college called Canning College. There was two colleges in Perth then, Chewett and Canning, to do a TEE. So I did a 4-subject TEE, human biology, geography, that's English, the subjects you needed. Got a really good score and had thought of doing physiotherapy, mainly for the geriatric side, actually. But as a mature age entrance, although I got the score, I got a high enough score to get into physio because you weren't, with the school leavers, you had to do a mature age, you had to do an interview.
Yeah.
And they wanted to see that had knowledge of the job, you'd done practical. So I'd been to the children's hospital, I'd been to a geriatric ward, I'd, done all this work placement, if you like. And presented them with my fabulous results. I think I came second in the state human bio, and the person who came first was my study buddy. He beat me by about 0.5%. So I was quite a keen. Yeah. I knew how to study. I wasn't as stupid as I thought I was.
Of course.
But this panel said, we have people with degrees applying and we only take this many. And so they said, you can reapply next year. So in the interim, I went into education at UWA, the education faculty, to do human movement. So it's a very broad-based, UWA is a very broad-based in your first year. You do, they're only 4 units, but they're big 6-pointers. And then as you go each year, you narrow down your field of study. Yeah. So I loved UWA. It's the oldest and original campus in WA in Perth, and beautiful university. Did find a couple of other mature age students who are also, so I wasn't like I was on my own. I was in my late 30s, I guess, by then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was 1990, I think it was at UWA. And still involved with the fitness industry. In fact, that was helping to pay bills.
That's cool.
Because I could work at the Guild gym, and the Guild had a program for aerobic classes, exercise to music. So I could go there in the morning and do a couple of classes, which I got paid for, then go off to my lectures. I could do lunchtime circuit classes or a shift in the gym and then get to a lecture in the afternoon. It worked really well. Yeah. So at the end of first year, I changed faculties because I found that I really liked anatomy, but they wouldn't let you do a double major. If you were in the education faculty, you had to
go into a science.
And it was I had to be in the science faculty. And it was also they had this 10-pointer, which made a 2-point overload, which doesn't sound like much, does it? 2-point overload?
Yeah, it does.
So I went and had an interview with my year master in human movement and said, look, I want to do looked at me and said, oh, yes, you've done very well this year. Yes, you can do that. So I changed faculties and did this too, and it was a disaster. It was so hard. Trying to work and do this all this second year and all this overload, and that was a big mistake. I overreached big time. But I got through, and onto third year, had a major injury halfway through the degree. I had a bilateral Achilles tendon release.
How did you do that?
I was running then. I was doing aerobics and running, and I think I worked out that at one stage I'd done about 17 hours of aerobic instruction, and then plus a bit of running as well. And I started getting nodules on my Achilles, and the specialists, the surgeon said, the left one is going to rupture if you don't get something done about it. So in the January, we got married. We made the relationship legal. And the next 2 days later, I went into hospital and had this Achilles tendon release. So was non-weight bearing for about 8 weeks on crutches. But got back to my third year of uni and managed to get through, because you have to do, that was the other crazy thing, doing this human movement. You had to do a sport with every unit.
Oh.
So here's the gangly, no eye-hand coordination person trying to play tennis. I learned to play tennis and hockey in first year.
So you didn't have to be great at them. You just had to learn the skills so that you could pass them on to others in the future.
It contributed to your mark. So, and then in second year, they had aerobics that went with physiology. So I really aced that one.
So you know that one.
Yeah. So it was just interesting to that learning. I learned for biomechanics, you had to do a year of swimming. So I got my bronze medallion, and it was actually great because I learned to do tumble turns. I learned to do bilateral breathing, and we did swim. So I could have done swim instruction, I suppose, but I'm not really a watery person. I might add too that I'm no longer wearing glasses. When I was 17, I got contact lenses.
I was going to say that initially when you were talking about your glasses and your 4 eyes comments that, well, I'm the one wearing glasses, as I can see right now.
I do for reading.
Yeah, I only need them for reading. Yeah. I don't need them for anything else.
So, I did, even though I had to do these sports, I quite enjoyed them. I did badminton and squash, and for outdoor ed, I did canoeing. So in the end, I got to quite like doing those things. It didn't make me want to pursue them afterwards, but and I was running then, because I can remember doing a city to surf, and it used to start in St George's Terrace, right outside WA newspapers, where I'd worked as that teenager.
Wow.
And, everyone had crammed up, when they'd say go, and you'd pick up a foot and wait to be able to put it down. Now they have much better systems, don't they? They do waves, but back then it was different. So I know that I was doing some running back then in the early to mid-90s, but not committed like I am now, I don't think. Yeah.
So you're running, it sounds to me like the running in the past has mostly been to support whatever else you were doing at that time.
Intermittent. I mean, and that was a fun thing to do, and I can remember seeing one of our lecturers, one of the young ones, he was from Liverpool, and because we all used to put garbage bags on to stay warm before the start. And
so
then
you can then just discard them.
So I know that that was the early 90s, because I finished my degree in 94.
Yeah.
So I must have been doing a bit of running then, but it was with the gym work and the fitness work as well.
So what was the degree you ended up with?
A double major, anatomy, human biology and human movement. So, at Sandwich Harmony then went into. And I actually got offered honours and had accepted honours and thought, this is it. I had a supervisor, and I loved genetics, biological anthropology, and thought I could do something there, and went off on the break, did my enrolment, got quite honoured to be offered honours, and thought, this is it, I'll be on that campus for the rest of my life. Lost academia. Yes. And then while I was away, I was actually headhunted by TAFE, the technical college, because they were trying to start a fitness course. And I must admit, when I first sort of got into the industry and was looking around for what more could I do, where I use my brain, if there'd been a TAFE fitness course, I probably would have done it rather than, but there wasn't anything in that area. And they wanted to start it was called an advanced certificate for that was in the eastern states. They wanted to bring it over here, but they wanted someone who kind of had the background. And because I was involved in the institute, the Fitness Institute, quite heavily by that stage, by the time I finished my degree, I was doing I was an examiner for them, so practical exams in the aerobic area.
Yeah.
Was involved with the committee and their training agenda. So I said, where was I going with this? What did you ask me? I've lost
So we're
the
talking
thread.
about your what the degree you got, and then what you did with it afterwards, and you got headhunted to go to TAFE instead and help
go to TAFE. And
with
so
this new course.
I think that was where they'd got my name from, that, I was involved with fitness. And so I'd taken, the year at Canning College, 4 years with my degree, was about to go and do an honours year. And I really thought, my husband has supported me all this time. As much as it would be lovely to go on at this campus indefinitely, I thought I should take up, earn money, contribute to the mortgage, because we bought a house by this stage. We'd moved to Helena Valley in 1985. So, I withdrew from my honours and went to work for the Black Hole, TAFE, yes.
TAFE. And is that where you stayed forever? The way you said that?
Until I retired, yeah.
And I know that you said, you've told me you retired.
The dark side.
So I was like, you must have stayed there, did you? Well, you must have been, that's how long? You must have only retired 20, a year or two ago.
20, yeah, I did. Yeah. More than 20 years. So I started in 95. I started at Midland, which was just down the road. It was very convenient. They gave me a budget to buy equipment, and they gave me a ceramics room to run the course in, which was not good for doing practical things. But anyway, but they kept giving me rolling over a 3-month contract, and which was very nerve-wracking.
Disconcerting.
It'll come, and your longer contract will come. And in the interim, a college in the city, Mount Lawley and Northbridge, the central, or it was North Metropolitan TAFE then, had advertised, because they were running the course. They'd started a course as well. I didn't know that. But the person who'd started only lasted about 5 months. And because when something's new, you've got to create everything, the resources, assessments, everything.
It's a big deal.
And, they basically give you the curriculum and say, here, deliver this. And that person must have had nearly a nervous collapse. And so I applied for a position there, because they would give you a 3 or a 5 year contract. So I left Midland, and it was further to travel, but it was actually a good move career-wise. Yeah. And the thing was that being in the TAFE system actually complemented my fitness industry work and my role with the Fitness Institute. And so around about 2000, there was a big training reform agenda in Australia, where instead of each state having their own little fitness courses, you would have a national curriculum, if you like, and that if students completed this and their assessments, they could then get automatically registered in the industry, and that would be recognised in WA, New South Wales, across the board, which would then make my role as an examiner gone, which is fine. So that was pretty much from 2000 on. I was involved with that, and with through the TAFE system and the implementation of training packages, the fitness industry training packages, and giving feedback about them. So less aerobic instruction, more. In 95, I'd done a personal training course, because personal training was the big buzz thing. And so I was doing some personal training, which was not so hard on the body, and it also paid a lot more money. So I was doing still a lot of work outside of TAFE. And Saturday mornings was I'd do a class. I did this class at a fitness centre, at Belmont. Did it for more than 20 years, the same Saturday morning class. And then afterwards I had PT clients in the gym. So that was why I didn't get involved in parkrun until quite late.
That's crazy.
Because it clashed with my Saturday morning in the fitness industry. But yeah, it was quite interesting how each part complemented the other, and I was able to actually do quite well within the TAFE system. I've got an ASL. You could go from just a grade 1, grade 2. I think you could go up to grade 7 or 9, and then they had an advanced skills lecturer 1 and an advanced skills lecturer 2, and then a principal lecturer. And I remember in 2002 applying and had a sort of a bit of a misogynistic male hierarchy who said, well, you could apply for both of them, but you'll probably make a fallout in an interview for the ASL ones. And I actually got an ASL 2 position, and which was good because it was really good money. It really helped with the finances and things like that. And just stayed with the TAFE system, but it has changed over the years. I always thought I'd be working until I was 70, but I was quite happy to retire before then. Yeah.
What is it about being in the fitness industry, if you like, that kept you in there all that time? What is it that drove you? What was there a passion or something about it and what it does for humans or whatever?
Yeah.
Like what for you?
I think
was the
for me, I felt I never, if I hadn't got fitter through that, because sometimes people are not motivated to go out on their own and just walk or run. But if you're in a group, we are herd animals, and it's easier. You can hide down the back and gradually move towards the front so you can see the instructor. But I think that whole group exercise thing, it showed me a life that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't got fitter. I don't think I wouldn't have had a career in the education. It was, and I don't really want to go and what do? Sometimes I do Pilates. Sometimes I do circuits at our local, I'm a member at our local, local government fitness centre. And it was funny because when I first joined there 2 years ago, the receptionist chap remembered me from when I was an instructor.
Oh.
He said, "Oh, you used to teach." I said, "Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time." And so then they were always on at me, "You could take this class, you could do this circuit." But we're always looking at it. I said, "No, I'm retired now. That's it." And I don't have any inclination to want to work there now, but I do run.
So tell me, let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
When did running become a more important element of your daily, weekly life rather than just supporting other things that were going on?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned that I had that class, that Saturday mornings, that was my industry. But after 2010, I started getting lots of knee niggles and issues. And remember I said I'd been quite flexible and I did yoga. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. To be super flexible and have ligament laxity is good for yoga, but if you then take up an impact activity, you get more movement at your joints.
Oh, that's good to know because I'm very flexible.
And
maybe not as flexible.
Hindsight, I did do some resistance training from about the mid to late 90s, but not consistent. It was a complementary thing. It was a fill-in. With hindsight, I would do more resistance because if you have got bendy joints, strong muscles can support.
Yeah.
So, of course, I started getting these niggles, and in 2015, I had my first knee replacement. My arthritis had got so bad. So 2015, we'd been the year before it was awful. I can remember walking. We'd had a trip to Europe and remember walking in Italy and just being in agony, and at night the pain in my knees just keeping me awake. 2015, we went to New Zealand on a ski holiday, and I thought that water skiing would transfer to snow skiing. It doesn't. And also it's use it or lose it. I hadn't water skied for a long while. But I couldn't, you've got to sort of click your boot in to the ski. I don't know if you ski. Do you ski?
I have done water skiing and snow skiing in the past.
Yeah, snow skiing, you've got to click your boot in. And I just couldn't do it because of the pain in my knee. So if I fell over and couldn't get it back. And it was just so frustrating. Anyway, we came back from that. holiday in the July, and I think I had September, I had my left knee replaced. It was just bone on bone. It was a mess. And they didn't have the same pain management that they do now for knee replacements. So having to bend the knee, they won't let you out till you can bend your knee to 90 degrees. So they put you on a bending machine and a morphine pump. So pump a bit of morphine in as it bends. It was horrible, but it was great. And of course, there's no way I'm going to be able to teach a step class or a pump class or any of those sort of things, a high impact class. So Harmony was doing parkrun by then. And in fact, in 2014, she loves inaugural things. She told you that.
She did say that.
She did. And so I remember her dragging me all the way down to Albany, which is on our south coast, to do the inaugural Mount Clarence parkrun. And I pushed the pusher and held the hand of a screaming Juliet. She wouldn't remember. She screamed for about 3.5, 4 kilometres. Oh, yeah. And then Harmony ran back. Harmony had finished and she ran back. And then Juliet ran off and left me.
Of course.
She was only 2000. She was only about 4 or 5 then. She was very little. Yeah. Little Jimmy was still in the pusher. So that was 2014. It was actually my first registered parkrun. But I'd had that knee operation in 2015, so there was no more instruction. And then near to us, Woodbridge started a parkrun, and Harmony was going to be an RD there. And so in January, February of 2016, Ted and I went down to push the pusher so that Harmony could run. And so we started doing parkrun then. And I think I just met people of a like mind. And it's such a big part of my life now, parkrun. Yeah. I'm a 5K runner.
So apart from the 5K, I know you've done other things. Are they mostly in supporting roles of your very active family? How does that work?
I made a list. I have to. Where did I put it?
Better read it.
I made a list. Yeah, I did. I had to make a list because I thought, what have I done? Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, 2015 was the left knee, and I was still working at TAFE. Yeah. So 2016 was when they started the park run. And then in 2017, Harmony had comrades. So I went with her to South Africa. We both went together. It worked that I could get some time off work. And I was the support crew while she did this amazing run. We went and did the park run in Durban. And because it coincided with some athletic championships, the comrades was started in Durban. It was an up year. And they had some athletics championships all on that same weekend. The Durban Park Run on North Beach was a world record. I think it was, more than 2,000 people. I mean, it was bigger than the Bushy Park one. I think they have since broken records, but it was huge. And I was about sort of a walk shuffler then, not really running, but sort of shuffling because the right knee was still not good.
Yeah.
And Hums, that doesn't matter because, I'm going to be running a very long way tomorrow. And so you had to queue up to cross the finish line. It was so busy. And then they had about 15 or 16 chutes down with your barcodes of all these queues of people to go and get barcodes. It was amazing. It was really an incredible experience. So I was the support crew there, but that was not very hard to do. Then, I don't know what we did. 2019, Harmony did her first Delirious. And so I had the kids and Ted and some other friends, Sean's wife and
Sarah?
Abdul and a friend from Albany were her pacers and actual crew, but I would take the kids in to see her to try and, give her a moral boost. So I was just a support crew in 2019. then, she'd done Rottnest. She did her first marathon. My brother is a marathon runner. He's a much faster and better runner than me. And so she had built up to a marathon, and she did that in 2016 at Rottnest. And we used to make it an annual event. We'd go, it's about September, October, that time of year, the end of the year, just getting warm enough to be pleasant. And so I'd take the kids on the 4K. Juliet usually did the 4K or 5K with me while Harmony did her marathon. We did that for a couple of years. And I can't think when we did the first lots of things that she was involved in, but I think WTF probably 2020, because by 2019 my right knee had finally gone. It actually went at work. I was at work, so I had to go. I had my right knee replaced. The femur was moving medially or towards the inside of the body on the tibia, and so it really was just bone on bone.
Ouch.
And but pain management had improved by 2019. They give you a nerve block, and basically you can wake up and you can bend your knee straight away. It was amazing. So
the difference 5 years can make.
yeah, well, and my husband had had a knee operation as well. He'd had two shoulders and a knee operation. So we were
Jeepers.
Both of us were rehabbing our knees. And I remember we volunteered at parkrun when Harmony was an RD, and Ted was doing timekeeping and I was doing tokens. And Harmony said, better take your token because there's no way they can run after you, which is true. We wouldn't have been able to. So 220, I had these two marvellous titanium knees that I found that I was actually, rather than a shuffle, and then a shuffle, I was actually being able to do some better running. And so Harmony was getting a team. She used to go and do WTF. She mentioned that's the Waterous Trail on Foot. And so John was on the team, John Hertzfield, Juliet, myself, Thomas, and Harmony. No, 1 year we had my brother as well. But yeah, so 2020 we did that was my half marathon.
Wow.
So
cool.
Once a year I do a half marathon. If I do WTF, I do a half marathon.
I love that.
On trail. Yeah.
That's so good.
So that's the furthest I've run.
Yeah.
So you ultra runners, you rock.
I don't know how I got to this world, but it's
well, you've done Delirious.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I have now. Yep. I'm going to do it again with my daughter next year.
I'll be there. I'll be able to see you because I've got to run the cars down. So when we have our little celebration drinky poos at the end,
that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
The first one she did, I was absolutely horrified, really. It just, I thought, why does she want to do this? You know, when you look at everyone's toes and their feet and...
Mine are still funny. And what has it been, about 4 or 5 months? My toes are still funny.
Because we'd walked the Cape to Cape in 2019, Harmony, Juliet and I. We didn't carry everything. Ted would drop us and then he'd go off with Jimmy and then he'd pick us up at the end of the day. And we did a couple of days. On the third day, he needed to go somewhere to Albany with Jimmy. So that was the day we walked into Prevelly where we were staying. And in the morning we walked out of Prevelly and then he was back to pick us up. And that was an amazing thing to do, the three of us. Yeah. And I think that's been the main stimulus for doing the longer things, to participate in the teams, is that it's with my girl and my granddaughter. You know, there's no way I would inflict 200 miles or 100 miles or 50 kilometres on my knees. It's even for the 25K or a 15K, it's the time on my feet beforehand. You're not supposed, don't tell anyone, but I don't think you're supposed to run when you have replacement knees.
I thought I heard that somewhere, but I was not going to bring it up because you seemed so happy about it. So
I really try to minimise my impact. I try and do strength work twice a week, so to keep the muscles strong. Yeah. So I go to the gym and do strength work. But it would be amazing to do something like that. Sue Robinson, did you meet Sue Robinson and Bianca?
Yeah, Sue was on the podcast about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I've had Bianca on the podcast as well about
Just
2 years
amazing.
ago.
I mean, to be able to do that together, and I think, Harmony, I'd love to do that. But I just know that if I want to have longevity with parkrun and just enjoying my runs, I probably need to be sensible in terms of...
That's really the important bit, the longevity part, I think, because for other parts of your life and health and wellness.
So crewing and, running the kids or running the cars and things like that is great. And we've done Margaret River as team twice.
Wow.
That's lots of fun. I didn't do it this year. We've done the WTF. I think we've done 4 now. Although last year, Ian and I did it. It ended up being a night. John was on our team last year.
Yes.
So it was Juliet and myself and John and a friend, Shane from Darlington Funners, and who else was there? I forgot some, and a friend from down south, and Linda. That's right, not from down south. Linda, and she'd been a bit slower than other runners we'd had in other years, and my leg had changed this year. It had a lot of really nasty vert in it. Where those been 4-wheel drives and they make big wheel ruts, and then they harden, but they're smooth, slippery clay. It was a bit grueling, that coming down, not the going up, but coming, and people without replacement knees found that. But Harmony had been going to do, I think, the 100, but had a sinus headache. So she decided when she came back in after the first or second leg that she would have a sleep, see how she felt, and maybe drop down to the 50. But then it was getting later and later in the day. By the time the second person, I was leg 3, and I was going to be doing it at night, and I wasn't keen. Juliet said, because she was doing the same leg but in the day, and she said, I'll do it for you now. And I thought, God, if a 14-year-old can run at night, I can run at night. So I said, no, it's all right, I'm going to go. But then as it was, Harmony said, look, I'll just come with you. I'll finish off my 50 by doing that with you. So it was rather nice to have a night. I hadn't ever really done a night run per se before. I've done night hiking, but not a night run to get through this. But, it was
what an experience.
That was a nice experience, to do it with her, not be on my own. So it was okay.
Sounds awesome. I love
it. No WTF this year, and I didn't do Margaret River because I thought, no, I should make it maybe one long one, just do the training for one long one. And then found out after I didn't do Margaret River that there isn't a WTF this year. It'll be next year. But that's okay.
That's okay. That's fine.
I'll just stick with my 5s.
Plenty of time. So what does your running look like on an average week?
Well,
obviously you do parkrun on Saturday.
I have 2 little dogs, so even if I don't run, I walk them. So there's pretty much 5Ks every day, somewhere, either as a run or as a walk. So I'm involved in a couple of groups now, indirectly because of parkrun, either people I've met or the groups I've met through parkrun. I made 2 very good friends at parkrun, who a little bit younger than me. One's a teacher and one's with the CSIRO. And so we supported each other through the COVID year. We'd go running together. You couldn't go to the gym, so we had in Karen's shed, we set up like the equipment I had and the equipment she had, and we'd do a little circuit once a week, so we still got our strength in. And we would always go running together. We'd go and do intervals and sprint training together, and things like that. So there was always those people. Monday mornings through the week, Mondays there's always a dog walk in the morning with a couple of friends, or a run. In the summer, it's nice and cool and we run. I meet those people for a run. Karen and Sabine, my parkrun friends, my run buddies. Tuesday we usually have a run together at Woodbridge. Wednesdays mornings is around my place, either a walk or a run. I've got a lake and do a lake run. And then Thursday night I go to a group called Bazo Runners, and it starts from the Bassendean Hotel. And you can even, if you're a fast runner, you can do an 8K loop. I go either with the walkers or the slower people, and we do an out and back. Karen comes to that one, but there's lots of people that go to Woodbridge Parkrun. There's some ultra runners that go to that as well. It's really drinkers with a running problem, a bit like the Hash House Harriers. And so because it starts and finishes at the pub, we can have a little bit of a social get together. And the Bassendean pub sponsors us as well. So our T-shirts and vests and jackets and things like that. So Thursday night is Bazo. Friday morning I go to a wonderful group of women, mostly women. There is one guy, I should say. He doesn't come very often, in Darlington. And it's run by a wonderful lady, Pip, our Madam Whistle, and we do intervals on the Darlington Oval at 6 o'clock in the morning, rain or shine. In fact, we have headband torches on at this time of year and little lights on the cones, so we know where we're running. Cool. And then Saturday morning is always parkrun morning, and sometimes a hike, always a dog walk. Sunday morning is either a walk with my husband or a dog walk or a run. Sometimes the longest run. Do you get the longest run in Tasmania?
No, what's the longest run?
It's really a Northern Hemisphere thing. Park runners get together on the longest day of the year to do park runs, a number of park runs. You can do 10 park runs if you want. You can choose however many. It's not a recorded one, but you can do 1, 2 or 3. I usually do 2 or 3. Of course, it's our shortest day of the year. That's usually in June. So that would fall on a Sunday. Sometimes hikes or things like that with Harmony or other people. But just running.
So it's a
comfortably.
It's a bit of a mix. You don't do a lot by yourself, but you do a little bit.
Wednesdays mostly is by myself. But it's become really social, especially people that I've met through. I mean, the Bassendean, Darlington, and obviously Karen and Sabine, my run buddies, are all parkrun ring-ins. It's such a community. I know everyone says that and it sounds sort of, but
no, it sounds awesome, I reckon.
It's lovely. It ticks all the boxes, you know. Have you heard of blue zones? Blue zones in the world where
like where people are healthier and
they live. There's the demographic has a higher number of 100-year-olds, and it's about the quality social interaction. It's about physical activity. It's about the nutrition. It's the spiritual. It's a holistic thing, and I think in a way parkrun contributes to that. It's significant and quality social interaction. You know, the friends and the people that you meet. It's only one morning a week for 1 hour, but somehow it seems to extend beyond the knock-on effect. That's a really good way to put it. So I sometimes I go because I want you want to run faster and get a PB, and then sometimes you're just enjoying it. I'm a bit naughty. I get into my comfort shuffle, and it's not going to get me a PB, but it's very pleasant. I can feel like I can do it forever. And I know 2 weekends ago it was a nice sunny day, unlike last Saturday, and I was running with someone, and a chap he's actually someone that John from John's work that he's nagged to come to parkrun, and Mohammed, and he'd run past me and then we'd overtake him because he was walking, and then he'd run past and then we'd overtake him, and then about the third time I said, why don't you shuffle on with me? You might. It's not as fast, but, you might be able to. So anyway, we started talking, and he's only been in Australia 2 years. And I said, I was a migrant. I came to Australia in the 60s. I know how, it's a shock to the system, how different. And we were just talking about the language issues and confusions and complications. And he was telling me how his boss was saying, you're right, or something like that to him, and he didn't know what he was. Because we shorten words, we run everything together. And I said, when I came, I didn't know who Emma was in all the shops. And he said, Emma. And I said, yes, I wondered who Emma Chiswick was, who she was, where she was from. Emma Chiswick. How much is it? Emma Chiswick. Did you have a good weekend? And so he was giving me all these things. He thought he was being harassed at work, that they were swearing at him, but, wasn't. He had to meet with HR, and then they were all laughing together. And he actually jogged all the way, and we got to about half kilometre away from there. I said, look at that, you've done 4.5K, you've run all the way with me. I said, now you've got to run really fast, because you'll be able to run faster than me to finish. Off you go. And so off he went, and I got around the bend and over the bridge, and I looked up ahead and he was walking, so I yelled out, you've got to run. And he ran. And I just thought at the end of it, there was no PBs, but it was just a really enjoyable run. It was enjoyable because, it's very relaxing for me, chatting all the way. I was obviously within my comfort zone, but it had got him round quicker than he got a PB than he would have. And I thought, people have done that for me before. And it's nice to do it with other people, new people, and hope that they will get the same enthusiasm for parkrun that I have and my family have.
To keep going. And keep coming back as well. I hear a lot of people say they start running for, often physical reasons, to either get fitter or lose weight or whatever, but they often stay running because of the people they meet, and it's parkrun that puts them often now in front of people or in a place where there's people.
That's why I think it contributes to my little blue zone, because it does, you're outdoors, the vitamin D, your weight bearing, so you're making your bones stronger. You're getting that social interaction, the support. You're getting the respiratory, the aerobic benefits. To me, it ticks so many boxes, and just inspires you to keep going. It's the health as well as the fitness. Yeah, I think that it's pointless being fit if you don't have good health.
That's right. Or if you're not happy, and you're not happy because you don't have the social stuff going on around you.
Yeah, and occasionally, after the last 2024 was the last WTF we did, which would have been the September, October, I kind of lost my mojo for a little bit there, and it was hard, hard to do. But having people saying, "Are you going to be there?" or "Are you coming on Friday morning?" or whatever does help you. It gets you there, and you just say, "Well, I'm not very enthusiastic," and then before you know it, you are sort of running along and doing quite a good pace. So yeah, let's parkrun.
I've got a couple of I've got a group of friends that I run with every Tuesday and Friday, and for 20 years. And if in times of my running career when it's been a bit of a low, but I always turn up for them. So yeah, if I don't do anything else in the past, I've always at least done those 2 runs with them. If I'm home. So I found that having that there. That accountability has really helped get over those bits, because we all like it's never great for everybody all of the time, because that's life, and having these strategies in place already, which parkrun is part of it, and especially when you're meeting people there who are expecting you, then it does help us, doesn't it? And listening to podcasts to keep us encouraged to run.
Yeah, and I find I do, if I'm walking or just walking with the dogs, I will listen to a podcast. Yeah. I'm not a big music person, but I have made a playlist of running things, mainly for the cadence.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because I think I mentioned I get into my comfort thing.
Get into the zone.
It's quite a slow lope, and not a fast cadence. Whereas if I pick up my cadence, I get a better. And I'm fit enough to do it. I don't know if it's laziness. Can you be a lazy runner? I think I'm a lazy runner.
I always call myself a lazy runner, but I'm okay with that.
And actually, the time that I've done a PB, it's been either coached by Juliet or Harmony. How marvellous is that, to be coached by your grandchild?
I love that. That's beautiful.
It is. I can remember as she's been growing up, and she's gone to parkrun with her mum, and sometimes, because Harmony can run much faster than me, and when she was smaller and not that overly enthused, I'd say, it's called fartlek. So what we'll do is we'll run the sun and we'll walk in the shade. And I can remember trying to get her through Woodbridge Parkrun by doing things like that. But now she's way, way faster than me. You know, she's she's got such good endurance, but she can sprint as well. I think that's from her father's, Harmony's father was quite a good sprinter, I think, when he was younger. And also on her dad's side, he was involved in gymnastics and things like that. So she's got that combination of fibre type.
A short, slow and fast twitch. Slow and fast.
I'm all slow twitch. I know that from university, actually, because in physiology you get to do all sorts of weird things, you know, VO2 max testing, temperature testing, and also looking at, I call them a spud gun. They take a
core.
Yeah, they take a little tiny core from usually your quad muscle, freeze it, slice it very thinly, and then look under the microscope to tell you what fibre type.
Oh, that's interesting.
Slow.
Well, you're so lucky to have that knowledge, I reckon.
Yeah, and I think my brother is a very good marathon runner. He's, even now, I mean, he's 4 years older than me, but would be faster. He just can't, I think, the distance. Doesn't want to do the distance. I had my dad's youngest brother was a runner. He completed the London Marathon. So I think genetically in our side of the family, there's good genes. I know respiratory wise, I've got a good lung volume. I'm tall, so that helps. But I remember doing a lung function test for a dive ticket to do scuba diving. And I was about 6 litres in my late 20s. That had gone down to 5.5 when I was at university. And when I was at TAFE, we had wasn't a really good spirometer, but it did give some indication, and I'd gone down to about 4.8. So I don't know what I am now, but you get that.
It decreases as you get older.
You slow, I think staying healthy and fit, you slow the decrements, but you definitely do get the decrements. So all you can do is try and do the best you can, the right things, and you know, and it's about choices. You can make the choices to do that or not do that. So try and make the right choices.
Sally, do you call yourself a runner?
I do now, especially when I go out in the rain and run in the rain. You know, we see the numbers go down on a Saturday morning if it's raining. So we always say to one another, we must be runners.
I love that.
Although I haven't got a high drive in terms of lift. And I think that's more because of the metal knees, you know, it's titanium. And sometimes people will say, oh, gosh, you can walk faster than I can run. And I say, come here and I'll slap you. I am running. It is not a walk. But, yeah, I don't know, my best is about 31 something, and I'm quite happy to run, I don't know what pace. Saturday, one of the girls from Bazo said, I've got to do 9 kilometres at 7. I said, oh, that sounds lovely, 7K pace. And so we found it really hard. We kept looking at our watches. 6:45. Oh, 6:35. Slow down. Oh, 7:10. Oh, speed up. Make a terrible pacer. But that's a very comfy pace.
Yeah.
I think if I ever want to get to my PB, I've got to get up around the 6s. So 6 and 6:15. And it's hard work, isn't it? Running fast.
Yes. I know. My coach keeps sending me the go fast things because I prefer just to go along slowly. And then she's like, oh, no, you've got to do this tempo work. And you've got to. And I quite enjoy the tempo for the first Maybe 30 seconds.
Yes, so first minute.
Because I do like sprinting. I enjoy sprinting. But then it starts hurting. Then I have to keep going. It's like,
So is it hurting legs or hurting lungs?
I think it's my legs. I don't have to think about it. I don't.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking to an expert.
Well, no, that an expert is X the unknown quantity and spur to drip under pressure. So,
thank you.
And sometimes a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. A friend from the Darlington group, a lovely group of ladies, she has done jeffing. Have you heard of jeffing?
I have heard of jeffing, but what is it?
Jeff was the guy that wrote a book about it. So you walk for 30 seconds and then you run.
Jeff Galloway.
Was that his name?
Galloway?
Okay, yeah. And we sometimes do that on Monday now, Monday afternoons. And I'll take my stopwatch and feel like a trainer again and say, okay, we're going to run for 4 minutes and then we're going to walk for 30.
Yeah.
And
30 minutes, not 30 seconds.
30 seconds, sorry. Did I say 30 minutes?
You just said 30. I just took 30 minutes.
4 minutes of running and then we're going to walk for 30 seconds and then we're going to run again. And, so it's a good way to do intervals, isn't it? It's basically interval training.
Yes. Yeah. I did do a little bit of that yesterday in a long run I was supposed to.
That's what we do on Friday morning. And I'm not terribly good at it until they get to the 30-second one. So running very fast at 30 seconds is easy. And then have a nice long break.
I like the long break bit. I love to run and I love to walk.
I enjoy both, and with the people that I run with, I enjoy walking with. You can rearrange the universe and sort out lots of problems, and
it's just really useful, isn't it?
It is very useful. Yeah, walking's good. My dogs now are getting older. 11. They're 11. A little poodle and a little fox terrier, and the poodle prefers walking.
Yes.
Fox terrier would run all day and probably run until she drops, but the little poodle, Misha, is happier if I'm walking. So, until we're going home and then she's out in front. And if you let her off the lead, she'd run flat tap, but while on the lead, she doesn't seem as keen to run as fast as the fox terrier. And it's another way of knowing whether I'm doing a good time without looking at the fruit, because if the fox terrier has to canter, I know I'm running fast.
Oh, there you go.
If they're just trotting, I'm not as fast.
Then you know as well. I love it.
Yeah.
Sally, how long do you think you'll run for?
Gosh, I don't know. I kept saying when I was younger, I'm going to work until I was 70, but I changed my mind about that. I was lucky. I told you I had a knee replacement in 2019. And I had actually paced harmony on Feral Pig that year. And Feral Pig is up in the hills near us. And she thought she would need me for the last 10, 11K between Kalamunda and Mundaring where they finish. And she said, I'm not going to be keen. It'd be really good to have you along. And she had ended up sleeping longer than she had intended to. Before she came on the last bit up to Kalamunda where she was meeting me. And she's now found that that's her secret weapon. I think she needs a certain amount of sleep, and she's actually fantastic after that. So by the time she got to me, she said, I'm feeling fantastic. I said, I thought she's going to really need me. She said, no. And so it was really me trying to keep up with her. And I had poles, and one of them kept malfunctioning. So the first time I said, you haven't snapped it in right. And she snapped it in for me and off we went, and it failed again. And so I was running along trying to lock it in like she'd shown me to snap it in. And what could go wrong? Multitasking. I fell over. Tripped on a perfect piece of flat ground, I might add. It was nothing technical. So I got up and we ran on, and she said, are you all right? And I said, yeah, I'm all right. I'm still trying to keep up with her, because she was really going very strongly. And we ran for about, a few more kilometres, and my foot was getting really soggy. My shoe was getting soggy. And we stopped and had a closer look, and it was this sort of huge gash on my left knee. And it wasn't spurting. It wasn't, obviously there was no arterial thing, but it was you could see it flowing.
Yeah.
We took pictures because they like it on ultra runners.
Yeah, they do. It's like toes and things. Injuries are good.
I've got a better one than that. Look at what happened to me. So when we got to the camel farm, I stayed. We put our snake bandages on it because it was not wanting to stop. And she ran on. She did really well. She hadn't needed me. Rang the man to come and pick me up. Oh, I told you shouldn't be doing stupid things like this. And took me to the ED. And, of course, it was near the prosthesis. And there's always a worry with infection.
Yes.
So they said, we'll do some flushing. So they did flushing and flushing and flushing and flushing. So, I think we're going to have to admit you. Who did your prosthesis? And I told them. And so they admitted me. And what we'll do is we can't do they have to do an abradement they knock you out, do an abradement. But RPH we'll move you in the morning. But then they didn't have a bed. And then in the interim, my surgeon, his rooms got in touch and said, oh, Michael will do the abradement for you. He's concerned about the prosthesis. So they transferred me to the hospital where he does his work from, which is a much nicer hospital too than RPH. And he did. So it was about 4 or 5 days all up in hospital. Wow. And it had just nicked been deep enough to just nick the collateral ligament on the outside of the knee. So it was quite a deep, just on a rock that must have been on the, when rock's in mud and then the mud hardens, but there's a bit of the rock sort of still sticking up. Yeah. So it made me a little bit nervous of trail running. Mm-hmm. I probably could go faster, but I don't.
Fair enough, I reckon. Fair enough.
Yeah, and it's the funny thing is that's when I realised I was old because in the hospital they ask you all these questions. And how many falls have you had? And do you have handrails at home? And do you need assistance when you're doing this? And I said, no, trail runners fall over all the time. It happens. It's a trail. It can get technical.
It was. We had a story like that. My husband had cancer during COVID. And when he came home after having the operation to have it cut out, the nurse came in and that was the questionnaire that he got. And he was, I think it was 56 or something. But it was like, and do you have falls? And do you have this? And do you have that? And he's like, we'd just been hiking and he'd been down the south. We'd been on a yacht in the far south of Tasmania for 6 or 7 weeks before we discovered he had cancer. And we'd been hiking and falling all over the place. So he was. So they were.
Did you stay on your feet in delirious?
I think I fell in the first 5 minutes and then not after. Oh. So then I was fine. I got my fall over it and it was fine.
It was so funny. So that was feral pig. Must have been 2019. I don't know. Didn't write it down. Thought I would have. That was a significant thing, but. It went right through to the my medical certificate took me through to almost November, and the last day was the Friday, and on the Saturday there was an inaugural Garvey parkrun. He said we should go and do this, and so I know that it was that date in November because we went off and we did it, and I've written it down. November feral pig, 22 maybe. And that afternoon I went home and was out in the garden and doing some edging with the spade and pulled the spade out and ripped my rotator cuff.
Oh, no. Ouch.
Back to ED again.
Oh, my God.
So another medical certificate because I'm in a sling. And it was just near the end of the year, and I was so lucky to get into. It was actually my husband had a shoulder reconstruction, and so we got a referral for his shoulder surgeon, and was very lucky to get MRIs and everything like that showed multiple tears and whatnot. And so I saw him, and he said, "We'll get it done in the February." So I had a medical certificate, and at that stage I was having such a despondent time with TAFE, just management and bureaucracy and the way things were going, that the job that I loved, it was actually the bureaucratic side that was really getting me down, depressing me. And I had agreed to, I said, I'll try a transition. I'll go to 0.5 instead of full-time. And so, of course, with the reconstruction, the medical certificate went on forever. But because I was on 0.5, I had enough sick leave to just see me out. And I could have gone back for about 8 weeks at the end of the year and spoke to the manager. She says, well, why do you want to come back? And I said, well, I don't. I thought I'd have to. But she didn't really want me to come back because they would have had to have done
and things.
Well, no, they have to do a special return to work thing. And it,
oh my gosh,
increasing your hours doing this and this and this, and, you're not allowed to clean whiteboards and, computing because of the shoulder. So she was quite happy. She said, well, if you want, you can use up your pro rata long services. So I never went back to work. I basically went through to my retirement age in the January and then retired fully. And I thought I would feel a bit empty and that I would miss it and that there would be no purpose. But there's running. I can go running anytime. I can go out now. In fact, I will because the sun's out with the puppies. It was just that comedy of errors, really, all these bloody hospital things. And he wanted so he says, look, we can do it 2 ways. He says, I can just fix the tear when I go in. He says, I won't know until I go in. He said, but I can tell from the MRI your biceps tendon is like a piece of old rope. We might just release it. And I don't know if you know, but when they release the long-headed biceps, you end up with a funny little bulge, like a Popeye bulge right at the bottom of your arm. And I said, but it's about the only 2 good muscles I've got. I'll be asymmetrical.
Oh, no.
And I think he sort of thought, what is this, late 60s woman worried about she was? But anyway, when he went in there was only one rotator cuff that was still intact. So he had to do a reconstruction, and you wake up with one of those big...
Oh, something holding it up.
Well, it's like a big... because they've... basically done pins in the muscle up here underneath your deltoid, you can't bring the arm right in. You've got to keep it slightly abducted. So they give you this big padded, what do you call this?
Like
a sling.
Okay.
Padded sling, yeah. It's called a Don Joy, named after the man who invented it, but there is no joy because basically you've got to keep your arm abducted. So for showering... there was a whole process of, sitting you down, and you take that one out, and Ted got a pool noodle and covered a pool noodle, and then you put that in a crepe sling so that when you have your shower, the arm is still out. And then you're like a baby, they dry you off. I practiced before I had my operation. I practiced with my left hand doing particular things that you might normally do with your right hand.
Yeah.
That I didn't want any other person except myself doing. In the privacy of my own home. But fortunately, my dad was a left-hander, and I think I might have had left-handed inclinations as a child. But, of course, in the 50s and 60s, you were just made to use your right hand, whether you wanted to or not. Yeah. So there's a few things that I can do with either hand. And so fortunately, even though my right hand was, I could manage quite well with the left hand. But you really are. It's worse than knees in some ways because there's lots of things you can't do. Bras. Who invented bras?
I don't like bras much myself. Although I need one for running, but
well, that's right. I mean, I'm not particularly well endowed, but even a crop top when you've got this blasted thing on your arm, and it was February, and it's very hot in Perth in February, and you've got to sleep with this thing, and so my husband was very good. He'd prop me up in bed, and he'd sort of prop, all these. He calls it our bed cushion kingdom, but he'd sort of turn me so that I could sort of pretend to sleep on my side, and. He was very helpful. I'd done it for him. I mean,
I was going to say, hadn't he had it done as well at some point?
Quid pro quo. So, he had, we've had these times together. I guess that's what a good relationship is prepared to do. But it was just funny how it was this sort of comedy of errors, the knee and then the shoulder. And so I didn't really go back to work. But I didn't miss it. I was quite happy. I thought it would leave a big gap because it had been fitness and the fitness industry and then fitness training. And I still meet some of my former students when fitness centre, the local government rec centre reopened after a refurbishment, and I was down there on the first day, and the manager, it was one of my former students from 2013, I think it was 2012 or 2013. Wow. I remembered him, and he's a manager there now. So quite often bump into them and think, oh shucks.
They've gone off and
grown.
And taken what you've taught them and created a life, which is really cool.
And moved on. I mean, kids are going to have 13 or 14 jobs in their lifetime now, and some of the Juliet's at school, there's jobs, she might be doing a job that hasn't been invented yet. So
I know. How exciting.
It's a bit hard to keep up with.
I know.
Yeah.
I love it.
So as long as we're all running.
Yes. Sally, is there anything in your life you'd be missing if you hadn't started running? It sounds like a ridiculous question after all of the things that you've already said that running's given you in your life, where you are now. But if you hadn't adopted running in the last...
So many friends, so many people that I know John and probably Harmony have used the word community, and it does sound passé, but so many friends and people, connections, that joy. And I think a joy of movement, to have been, a pretty gangly, clumsy child, to be able to move. I enjoy being able to do that movement now, and to be fit enough to do it, to jump puddles. And
I love that. It's like the life that you have led to this point, even though there was large parts of it that weren't necessarily running focused, doesn't mean it wasn't there, but that's also kept you fit. Like being in the fitness world, fitness industry has really helped you be where you are now. I like to think of it as health and fitness. Maybe the running side of it contributed, certainly the impact contributed to the arthritis, but there was also arthritis. My mum was not a fitness person. She was born with a congenital dislocation of the hip bone, so she always had one leg longer than the other. And although she bobbed, she wouldn't wear a built-up shoe, so my brother and I could always find her in a crowd because she bobbed. But of course it caused a lot of wear and tear on her hips, so she had hip replacements and quite bad arthritis. Wow.
So, you don't have to do impact things to have arthritis. You can just have that, I guess, that gene. My brother doesn't get arthritis. Maybe he will now, he's getting older, but he hasn't had the knee or hip issues that I had the knee ones and my mother the hip. So, it's interesting that you've got to make the best of what you're given. Absolutely. And I feel in some ways now that I've got to such a grand old age, my very bestest friend, the one who I've retained from Applecross High School, who lives in Queensland, she lives in Port Douglas, not a running person, but I do say to her, get along to your aqua classes and your circuit classes, you've got to do strength. And she walks her little dog and things like that. And I try and encourage her to be healthy, fit. She wouldn't do her to be a runner, but we both say, isn't it funny that when we were at school we thought 30 would be old and over the hill. What would you do? What was there to do once you reached 30? Nothing. I mean, you passed it, but you sort of get to 30 and you think, well, God, life's just beginning. Maybe when I get to 45, 50, that's middle age. That'll be old. But I think old or elderly is always about 15 years older than you actually are chronologically. Yeah. It's about a generation, approximately a generation. I must think positively archaic to Juliet. I know she said she hangs out on a Wednesday night with old people at the quiz. I thought that was hilarious. But it is. And I sort of, I've got to my age now, and I sort of think, when I get to, I guess 85 is going to be pretty old if I make it. Will I make it? I mean, that's 15 years, So, like it just goes faster as you get older. Your life does seem to go faster. So you have got to live it to the hilt.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So I think it's the connections, the friends and the connections, the people, the groups, that running certainly in these latter years have given to me. Yeah. And something in common with my child and my grandchild.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Love doing things with them. It's that's a big joy to be able to go on trails with them or
go to
running
events.
with them.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. In whatever way.
Is there anything about running that we haven't talked about in our little ramble through your life that you want to share? Or have we touched on most of the important elements to you for running?
I think I can't think of anything else.
We've been pretty good, I think.
It's no, I can't think of anything else. Yeah.
Excellent.
It's I'm around.
If someone, I've been asking people, I've always asked people what their tips would be for beginner runners, but I realise now I really should probably ask tips for staying motivated to run. So, because most people who listen to the podcast tend to be runners, so that would be useful.
Think if you are starting or coming back to it, going the distance first, so walking first. You don't have to run that whole way. If you do start running, then start small and add gradually.
Yeah.
For staying motivated, short-term goals. Even when I do that, and I know other people do it as well, John definitely does it, when we do the WTF or whatever, I break it down into park runs.
Yeah.
Because 5Ks is easy.
Exactly.
And the other motivator, I think, is to find someone that's got a similar bent who likes doing, who you could go with. Having a puppy that likes the word walk and wants to do things if they hear that word. They're like a treadmill, a built-in treadmill. They'll take you for a walk. But I think, to have friends or to make friends or to have people who are like mind. So then I'm not a good early morning person, especially in winter, but I get up at 5:15 every Friday morning to go and run around a soggy oval in the dark with other crazy ladies who are wonderful. Because, it's I guess it's the company as the motivator. Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful. Well, Sally, I've kept you forever. Thank you. You're obviously retired because you could talk to me for a couple of hours without it being an issue. So thank you. I appreciate it. It has been lovely to get to know you more, and I can see where Juliet and Harmony get their awesome personalities and their zest for life. I love it. So thank you for passing that down to them. I appreciate it, and then sharing some of yours with me.
Better and better as we go.
Sure, but whatever. You were a good model for them to base them on, I think, perhaps.
I hope so. I think I can remember Harmony coming to some of my classes, and she was just I can't believe that to have been such an unsporty, unathletic person myself, to have this child that just, she was the sports star, really. I know when she started at Helena Valley Primary School, she was the girl champion all the way through to year 7. We got into a bigger pond, and it was a bit trickier at high school, but she was still very good. Happy to play sport. She would be picked she wouldn't be the last one picked. They'd be quite happy to have her on their team. So she's done well, and she's grown a beautiful child. So this is what I've done for Australia.
Look at you.
At least 3 beautiful Australians.
And we thank you.
And they got me for nothing.
I know, look at that. Well, £10 was it?
Yeah, I got to say,
ways.
I am committed to Australia now. I've had my brain modified. I went through that in about 2001 or something, yeah. So I've done the deed, and
that's it.
I'm no longer
totally an Aussie.
Totally
an Aussie.
Totally.
Love it.
Totally.
I love it.
100%.
All right, Sally, don't jump off, but thank you so much for coming to share. It's been amazing.
And I look forward
to
chatting with you after Delirious and seeing you on Delirious.
In person, minus a few more toenails.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for tuning in to the ZenRUN podcast. I hope today's chat left you feeling just a little more inspired to move in your way and on your terms. If you've got a running story you'd love to share, please reach out. I'm always looking for real, relatable stories that help remind us we're not alone. Whether it's a big goal, a quiet win, or simply why you keep showing up, I'd love to hear it and I'd love to share it. Plus, if you're curious about the ZenRUN Club, come take a look. It's a low-key space with guided runs, simple training plans and monthly challenges to help keep your running fun, motivating and totally stress-free. Until next time, keep running, keep breathing and keep showing up for yourself.